Ever since, we've never died of poverty, right? But you are thinking we need saving from where? So I started looking at Julius Nyerere, who questions what is development of roads when the people can't even use that. He came up with the concept of Ujamaa, which is meaning like let's work together. Former president of mine, Kenneth Kaunda, brought about humanism, where that humanistic approach. All of the Pan-Africanist information, if you ask now and go to the library, we don't even have this information. So we are brought up in this system which is more westernized. All of our education publications were printed by UK. Do you think they're going to print about my ancestors? So this is what they call systematic racism. I couldn't name it. I was fighting. I was like, maybe we need to work hard, because you'd be like, oh, Africans are lazy. No, but it's a system. Was it meant for people like me? Certain organizations, even if I worked for a decade, you should give it a minute. All the organizations that center working on Africa, all the decision makers are totally white. And we're okay with it, and they sit with our presidents, right? And the only space that you can have for you as an African, especially a woman, will be middle manager. And by the way, it comes to issues of leadership. And this is what is distributed. So that is where my passion came in, and that's how I moved there. I finished my master's, but it was like the aha moment of really understanding what colonization looks like. In that context of, oh, so that's why they come like that. It's not that I don't know, it's because I'm othered. So this is what they call systematic racism. I couldn't name it. I was fighting. I was like, maybe we need to work hard, because you'd be like, oh, Africans are lazy. No, but it's a system. Was it meant for people like me? Certain organizations, even if I worked for a decade, you should give it a minute. All the organizations that center working on Africa, all the decision makers are totally white. And we're okay with it, and they sit with our presidents, right? And the only space that you can have for you as an African, especially a woman, will be middle manager. And by the way, it comes to issues of leadership. So that is how I came in, and that's how I am more passionate to kind of come to our University of Toronto. I was lucky to work in international spaces in the sectors here, also in Canada. The experiences were the same. One time I worked for this organization, I was program coordinator running staff, and then they looked at me, I was the only African, and they came to my office. So how did you come here? Oh my God, you're so lucky. So every time this question, I don't know how many people feel that space when you are here, you are so lucky. Like we should be okay, because this space is, none of us should be here anyway. You're lucky to be here. And you're working for this organization, and you are from Africa? Wow. I don't know, so for me these expressions were like, what's going on, And then I came here, of course, in the PhD, this is like going my third year. And I was asking, Professor was asking, how has it been? It's been a journey. Really, as an African, I never knew I was black until I came here. I was Zambian, right? So I came here. You are black. What do you mean? Am I black Canadian? No, you are black. You're black African. Oh, Afro Caribbean. Oh, you are mixed. So all this naming, I never knew that I was black until I came here. Because in my space, everything I knew, everyone I worked with were people like me. When I go to church, I'll sing my songs by language. When I come here, they can't even understand me. My name is simple, they can pronounce Swasnika, but they can fail to pronounce Sally because, it's difficult, it's an African name. You can pronounce the most difficult things, but when it comes to what I want, and then they're like, so how is it out there? Are you going back? Where? So I've had this positioning that for me as my story is to tell you that when we talk about, and by the way, I never knew about the decade until Henry mentioned. This is how naive and blacked out the decade of is. If you ask most of the students I was inviting, nobody even knows about it. So we have a long way to go in terms of we've been othered and we've actually accepted to be othered because we have to survive, right? And the trauma that we carry from that, I think the trauma becomes internalized. One of my experiences was going to the health sector as a black woman. I was being given a diagnosis which wasn't making sense. Until my friends told me something. You need to learn to advocate for yourself, or else in this land you will die. I didn't know what it meant until, because the health sector itself is when you're a black woman, you don't feel pain, apparently. Because when you go to the ER, I was in the ER, everyone was screaming. Me, I was calming because my mother said, how do you scream? What's your oil? People are screaming. So which means I want to get the attention because I'm not that look or reaction looking for someone who is in pain. So for me, it's a lot to just kind of unpack. So that's what it is. The policies will be there, but if there's a unity of purpose. The issue, like I'll go back to the issues of refugees. Right. I know, like you mentioned, that the Ugandan trip started in May. You know, being your brother's keeper, everybody was just passing through. You would go through there, you see people, no one was doing it. You know, we were disengaged voices. But when the unity of purpose came, tell me how much money you received in a week when you decided that we are going to stick as a one person. And I think that unity of purpose starts with us. Because you start seeing yourself in those people. It wasn't anything else. And because you are pained with it, you wanted to do action. It has to be healing. It has to be healing. Because I think right now I feel traumatized as a black person in Canada right now. You know, I feel that I'm actually, the narrative that continues, we need to have an interest. I'm so happy to see Professor making the way whereby I had imposter syndrome where I felt like even my friends in the class would be like, I don't know how to write, why am I going these places? And sometimes it's even worse from our own people, whereby they will literally drop you. So I feel like we need to heal. I think we need to love each other. We are what you see. You know what happens is like, even when we see all these things, it's happening to them as refugees, it's happening to us as international students, it's happening to us as the African community, it's happening when we want access to housing in Toronto, it's happening when we are in the trains, in the subway. You know, whenever you are a black person, there is a narrative. How do we destroy that narrative? It is not to use it with anger, it is go with love. You know, and always know what Nelson Mandela said. They are not scared of us because we are inadequate. It's because we are more powerful than they can ever imagine. Your power, you know, you don't go for a weakling. You go for those that carry power. There is so much power. And let me tell you, I always tell people, you know, Jesus was black because that's why he had to run to Africa. He was a black man. And it will be very shameful when you go to heaven and you find Jesus is black when he's been there. Oh my God, listening. So we need to claim that power that we've had.